Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, Pat.
Happy Thanksgiving, Coach. Everyone listening.
Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Of all the holidays we celebrate, this is my ultimate favorite.
Really?
Yeah. I know a lot of people say Christmas. I like Thanksgiving better than Christmas for a few reasons.
Okay.
The first one is there's no expectation to give or receive gifts.
Yes.
I've absolutely grown to hate that about Christmas, to be honest.
Funny. Me too, Coach.
There's so much stress around it. And,
Yes.
And Thanksgiving, there's not.
Right.
All we've got to worry about is who's cooking what. And that's a good thing. That's a good problem to have, you know?
Right.
And so you got that. So no gifts. That's one reason for Thanksgiving. No gifts. The second reason is because I do love the Christmas holiday. And I think Thanksgiving kicks it off.
Oh, yeah.
It kicks off that season
After Thanksgiving.
that
it's time to
season
go.
of joy that Christmas brings, and that's when it's okay to start listening to Christmas music. And if my wife hears this, she'll be contesting that statement because she's been watching Christmas movies since September.
On Hallmark? Is that what
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So it kicks off the Christmas season, but here's the two big uns. Listen to me, big uns. The food is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat it. We have good food at Christmas too, but you know what you're getting Thanksgiving. There's no question. It's gonna be good stuff. And football all day long.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. It's not easy to find football always on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
You got the NBA, which I'm not a huge NBA fan.
Believe it or not, but I don't associate football and gratefulness and joy very much. I don't know why that is, Coach. But
these days or just ever?
Well, I mean, really, I was born in '81. There's been a whole lot of heartbreak since '81 for the Cleveland Browns fan base. So, not a lot of good times. But hey,
we keep saying every time we record that hey, maybe by the time this airs, things will be better.
I don't know what our record will be, but we should be well on our way to 11-5. 11-5 by the time this episode airs. So
it'll be comical to hear it. It just seems to be getting worse.
It won't be comical.
Not comical for you. It's comical because it's worse every time.
Yeah.
Like people hear the episode. We recorded it 3 or 4 weeks ahead of time, and they're going, "Wow."
I wonder how
much.
We should go back and have cut ups of my voice to see how degraded my confidence is.
That's right.
Every new prediction I make, but
15-1,
wrong.
14-2,
Wrong.
13-3,
Wrong.
12-4,
Wrong.
All right.
painful.
Gratitude. We want to talk about gratitude a little bit. There's one of the, honestly, I think one of the things I love about Thanksgiving too is this issue of what it represents, and that is the character of gratitude, the personality trait of gratitude. Notice I didn't say emotion of gratitude. I think gratitude is an emotion. It's something that you feel. Mm-hmm. But I think that when you take it upon yourself to make gratitude part of your character and part of your nature as a human being, you're going to be a happier person. You're going to be a less stressed out person. You're going to be
That's a fact.
a person with it is a physiological fact.
Yes, I knew where you're going.
The
there.
Institute of Heart Math. Have you read about this?
I have actually. Yes, I have talked about it before.
Heart Math did a study that has proven that gratitude improves the heart's rhythmic functioning. So what that does, in essence, is it helps us to reduce stress. And it helps us to think more clearly when we're under pressure situations. It helps us to heal physically even. And so gratitude actually has healing properties to it. And so what I love about this, and this is something that I share all the time with the students I work with, is look, if you're stressed, and students get stressed, everybody gets stressed. But when you are feeling stressed out, one of the best things that you can do to combat that stress is to just press pause, go out for a walk, or do it right where you're at, whatever, but take a little bit of time and just think about, meditate on, pray about, list out loud a handful of things that you're thankful for.
Yep.
And the reason why that is the best way to deal with stress is because here's where the Institute of Heart Math comes in. It is physiologically impossible to be both stressed and thankful at the same time. And so we have a day called Thanksgiving, and honestly, if you make this every day of your life, if you start off every morning with Thanksgiving and you make that a challenge, like a personal challenge, let's say you determine today, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to wake up every morning and before I do anything, I'm going to think about, meditate on, list, whatever. As you're making your coffee, you create a routine where you just list 3 things you're thankful for today.
Yep.
Anything, 3 things, and see how it changes your life.
Yeah,
It will change your life.
I can attest to that now because in taking the notes that I took for this episode, I got I would say a sense of joy and just thinking about those things that I'm grateful for. So that's a good homework assignment for our listeners out there.
is.
Try it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wake up, list 5 things that you're grateful for. See how it changes your outlook on the day.
Outlook on the day, on the people that you're with,
Yeah.
the
I bet it'll work.
interactions you have. I bet it will.
Yeah.
I bet it will. So that's what Pat and I did. We decided to come up with a handful of things. I think we said 5 apiece. We'll see how many we get to. Of things that we're thankful for that we wanted to share with you, our audience of the Coaching Life podcast. And we'll just say what they are and talk about them if you want to.
Okay.
Does that
We're
sound
just
good?
going to list.
You want to?
them out?
You want to
Yeah,
go
we can do
first?
that.
Maybe
Sure.
we'll alternate back and forth. And we'll just put ourselves on a time limit.
Okay. And I feel like mine's going to be fairly obvious, so we're going to alternate.
Let's do that.
Are we going to? We're not going to do this 1, 2, 3 in order of importance, are we?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's hard to do. Yeah, when you're talking
I
about
might have
things
got
you're
myself in
thankful
trouble.
for,
Yeah.
right? Because who do you list first? Your wife or Jesus, right? I mean,
Right. Exactly.
yeah, I'm sorry, honey, but Jesus does come first. But no, let's not worry about prioritizing. Let's just pick one.
Okay.
Pick one off your list.
My wife.
Needs no explanation, does it?
I have an explanation.
Let's hear it.
She's taught me an awful lot about suffering and pain. That probably doesn't come out all that well, does it?
You want to rewind that? And
No,
try it
no,
again?
no. Because here's the thing.
She has instituted a lot of suffering and pain.
No, that's not it. Well, maybe it is. No, no. She's taught me about sacrifice.
I have a feeling you're about to be thankful for this thing that you're thankful for.
Yeah,
No.
and you know what she's taught me? She's taught me probably more about being a teammate than I ever knew. Because what you don't recognize as a very young person, this might be a tip for those young lovers out there or people that are planning to get married. I don't think you have a concept of what love is until you are with that person for an extended amount of time, and you have to make decisions together, and you have to go through disagreements together and figure out a common ground, and kind of help one another get through those trials and tribulations that you go through. You learn this concept of trust and compromise, and I think those are things you got to have to be a great teammate, and to be a great parent, to be a great coach. So my experience with my wife and our relationship, it's just helped me be better at those things.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Echo all of that. Yeah. It's easy to be infatuated with someone, to have that moment of when you knew you fell in love, right? But
Right.
you find out what love really is after you've walked with them for a bit.
Yeah.
And you get to find out that, hey, she actually loves me too.
Yeah. And you know what? You don't always like each other.
That's exactly right. There's a difference.
And that's when
a
you
difference.
begin to understand that concept of love, because those disagreements,
Without a doubt.
different personalities and things like that. So
Without a doubt.
it's good stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll jump down to the one I put number 5 on my list, but again, they're not prioritized. But
Okay.
I think it'll be a nice transition from what you just gave, and that is I'm actually thankful for challenges.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for challenges and what you would call adversity. I know that seems odd,
No, it doesn't. Not to me.
but
Good stuff.
yeah, I mean, without them, I would not be the person that I am today. I think I've thought back of the last 20 years of my life and where I am today, and the seat that I'm sitting in right now as a husband, as a father, as an employee with a career, as a person with passions that are related more to hobbies and things like I don't get paid for, that I get to do, like this podcast and coach. Heck, the coaching I'm doing now is all voluntary. You know, that's not something that I'm doing as part of my making a living or anything.
Yeah.
All of those things have come to me through quite a few challenges, you know, and I wouldn't have the opportunity to have grown in so many of the ways that I know that I've grown in my life over the past 20 years if it hadn't been for those challenges. You know, challenges tend to do a lot of things for us. And I should say this too. When I say that, I'm not saying that I'm thankful for the before and the during of those challenges and adversity. I'm not a sadist. I'm not looking for challenges. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's more of a feeling of looking backwards and thinking, man, look at what these challenges have done inside of me. One of my favorite philosophers he's a theologian. He's a Dutch theologian, philosopher. His name is Soren Kierkegaard. He once said this, that we live life forward, but we define it backward. The only way that life can truly be defined is by looking backward, but we have to keep living it forward,
right.
Which means that you just keep walking and you don't know exactly where you're going all the time. You don't know exactly what's happening to you. You can't explain it. And often this is where the question of why me, God, comes into play. Those are challenges. Mm-hmm. And you don't know what those challenges are doing until you look backward and you see, man, 5 years later, I look back. It's like, wow, look at the map that's been created for my life. And that map was often carved out by challenges.
Yep.
You know, and so I'm extremely thankful for the challenges that I've had. When you think about something that challenges do, I mean, they almost, here's the scariest thing, I think, is that challenges tend to act as a mirror to our weakest parts of our lives. You know, when we're faced with a challenge, when we're faced with adversity, we get to see the worst parts of who we are. And what that means is it gives you an opportunity to correct them, to get better at them.
Absolutely.
To improve upon those.
Yes.
You know, people talk about how sports build character. I think sports reveal character more than they build character. You know, because sports create challenges for people.
That's right.
And when life is easy, when you're winning every game by 10 runs or 50 points or whatever, life is easy. But you find out who people really are when they're faced with challenges.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's a great coaching point, or even for athletes out there, don't shy away from those challenges. Those are the opportunities that you're looking for.
Yeah.
As a person and as an athlete and a coach, because like you said, that's what's going to define you. And those are the times that you really gain something.
Yeah.
You know.
And once you know that, you can be thankful for it.
Exactly.
And so I'm thankful for that.
Good deal. Good deal. I can already see how
I'll
this
toss
is
the
gonna
ball
go.
back to you.
Your abstract thinking is going to blow me off the board here. So
I do have a few abstracts.
When you texted me this morning and said, "Here's kind of what I'm thinking."
I have two very specific things though, so I'm very specific. I'll go to a specific one next.
I appreciate that. All mine are specific. My second one, I'll go to my parents. I'm grateful for my parents. You know, for all these things that I'm talking about. There's a number of reasons I'm grateful for them.
Of course.
But when I pick these things, I'm thinking about them in terms of the coaching life, how my experiences with them's kind of impacted me. But the thing that I recognize, and I seem to it happens all the time now as I'm going through this journey of being a parent and a coach of my two sons. I really recognize the self-discipline and the restraint that my mom and dad showed when I was an athlete.
Yeah.
It's almost unreal, the balance that they had. And my mom and dad weren't sports people really. Growing up, as far as I know, and I think they bowled a little bit or something like that as they got older. But
there's a frustrating sport.
yeah, it is. But they just they had this crazy balance of encouragement and expectations that I always felt like I knew that they had my back, but at the same time, I knew that I couldn't get away with anything. There was a time when I threw my helmet. I remember, I threw my helmet one time. My mom was really mad at me. But at the same time, it was an anger that I knew it had love in it.
Yeah. Did she go Augie Garrido on you?
She didn't go Augie Garrido. No. I'll tell you this. There's not.
You're probably about as scared.
Coach, we've talked about players going and talking to coaches. Mm-hmm. There was a time. It was my freshman year in basketball. I wasn't a basketball player. I wasn't playing much, and it was getting to me because I played a lot in. I won't say I was a decent baseball player, but I played a lot in baseball. I was used to playing. At least
sure.
Freshman basketball, I didn't play a lot, and I was pretty heartbroken over it. And after a game one time, my dad, I was upset, and my dad said, "Well, do you want me to go in and talk to the coach?" I said, "Yeah," and he went in and talked to him, and he came back out. And he said, he doesn't, talk through certain things. He said, but basically he doesn't think you handle the ball as well as the starting point guard. And I said, I handle the ball much better than him. My dad said, I'm not for sure about that.
Yeah.
He gave it to me straight.
Yeah.
He wasn't just there to.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah. And, but that's kind of the whole relationship. It was never letting me get too far down on myself, but at the same time making sure that I knew that there were certain things that was expected of me.
Yeah.
From an effort perspective and a behavior perspective.
Build you up, but it would also help you understand reality.
Yeah.
As well.
And live
in reality and not some fantasy world that you're the most awesome player and your coach sucks because you're not playing very
right.
much.
And it seems like such an easy concept. But I know as a parent,
it's not easy.
So difficult, man.
Yeah.
It's so tough. So
it's not easy. I find it. I chuckled a second when you said that your parents had such balance and they were pretty easygoing in sports, because my mom got thrown out of a 12U game once.
Oh well, okay, that makes me feel better about getting tossed here.
She's gonna love that I said that on the podcast.
We might want to edit that out.
It was an awesome moment though. It was, man, because I'm telling you right now. If I have time to tell you real fast.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It was in an all-star tournament. So it was a like essentially a travel team. It was built of every 3 or 4 kids from every. Well, actually, about 1 or 2 kids from every team in the Big Bend back in the day, and we were in like the semifinal game, and it was for people yelling at the umpires, and particularly the umpire behind the plate. I was pitching, and our parents, were not very pleased with the way this guy was officiating the game. Well, my dad doesn't really say much. I mean, he doesn't yell that much from the stands. The umpire heard a male voice. He turned around, assuming that it was, he pointed at the first guy he saw, which was my dad sitting on the front row, saying, if I hear another word out of you, you're going to have to take a walk. Well, that set my mom off.
Oh, yeah.
Because she kind of stood up and said, he hasn't said a word. If anything, I've been hollering at you more than him.
Oh,
and he goes, okay, ma'am, you take a walk right now. He stopped the game. I'm standing out on the mound. He stopped the game so that he could make sure that she walked. He watched her grab her lawn chair and walk all the way. I mean, it must have been 100 yards to get to the parking lot.
He wouldn't play until
he would not restart play until she was out of sight. And so then we get 3 outs and we go in, and I'm up the next inning. And it was like a storybook moment. Kid threw me a pitch, and I can still see the pitch. He made a mistake of throwing a knuckleball. Knuckleball's not a very good changeup because you can pick up on it. Right?
Yeah.
And I jacked that thing over the left field fence. And as I'm rounding first and going to second, I hear this person way off in the distance jumping up and down and screaming. And I look, and she had made her way from her car to the shelter house, and she was down there cheering for me. And I came in at this particular tournament. They would, as soon as you came to home plate, they would hand you a game ball. They would say, here's the ball that you just hit over the fence. So the umpire would always hand the game ball to the kid that hit it over the fence. And I said, thank you, sir. That was my mom that you just tossed.
What'd he say? Did he say anything?
Not a thing.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. That's a great story. I hope that doesn't get you in too much trouble there.
Yeah, I don't know. They're passionate people.
I stand behind
sports people.
Mrs. Stewart for taking that stand.
Yeah, so I'm thankful for that. I was thankful for that because I'm thankful for my mom's fieriness and passion because it gave me the just that extra boost of energy to want to do something great that day.
There you go.
As a 12-year-old.
That's great.
I'm thankful for music. There's a real thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking about
Coach,
this.
when do you have time to listen to music?
Well, it's not just listening; it's making it also.
Oh, okay.
And
Very good.
and I do. I'm a music fan. I am in all kinds of music. I do.
I am too.
I grew up. I'll be honest with you. I grew up with rap and hip hop. That was that. I mean,
Who's your favorite rapper?
I actually created it. Back in the day, it was Run DMC, and but you know things have changed over the years.
So you've created a rap?
Oh
you've,
heck
you've,
yeah! There's
you've-
probably a VHS tape somewhere of me and Chad Carson at a Meg's high school
Pep rally?
talent show.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean they used to have like a variety
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
And we didn't make music. I mean, it wasn't as easy to do back then. Kids get on the computer today and create their an entire track and go with it. I would have loved to have had that. Here's what we did. He could beatbox. You know the beatboxing. You know.
Yeah.
He could do that, and he could make all sorts of sound. You know, the bass, the deep sound, the treble, and then, I mean, he could get things going at the same time. And we would just write rap songs, Christian rap.
I'll be darned.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
and performed it. It was fun. We went to vacation Bible schools and did it and everything, and it was a lot of fun.
Maybe we should
Have a rap battle in
intro.
here?
Our intro. I can't do that. What's the show that they do that on? Have you ever seen that where it's two teams? And
Oh yeah, that's they're freestyling.
yeah. I'm
And
like,
that's something
wow, that's
I'm
tough.
in awe of
Like,
that.
just
I
right
can't
off
do
the
that.
bat, it's
Yeah.
just wow
Yeah.
how they come up with that stuff. But no, maybe we should have that. Our intro music for the coaching life should be
Try to dig
a
that
rap
up.
song.
Yeah.
You should be
Yeah.
doing a
I
rap
don't know.
song.
It's been a long time. But what I'm doing now with music is, and I thought about this today because I thought about how cool this past Sunday, our church service was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys that plays with me, because I lead the worship there, and one of the guys that plays with me asked me if I could pull off one of the songs from the recording. We always record our Sunday services. And so I was listening to it, and I thought that came out just really good. You know, I mean, you could hear all kinds of people singing, and so what it does, you know, so as I'm listening to this playback of this music that we're playing, I was getting inspired. I had like chill bumps, you know, and there's all kinds of music does that to people. It creates all kinds of emotion. You know, music has been used to pass along information, to give you knowledge and inspiration, and it just uplifts people. And so as I was just listening to music, I thought, I'm going to write that down. It'll be one that might be a different direction for something to say I'm thankful for. And you know, without music, I mean, for me as a Christian, music is huge because it's been used since the beginning of time to celebrate and praise the God of the universe. And so that's a huge aspect of why I'm thankful for music.
Sure.
So,
So with that in mind, there's a Troy Silva and his wife does a podcast, the family podcast.
yeah. Listen to a few episodes. It's really cool.
One of their latest episode was over the discussion of walk-up music.
Oh, really?
Are you for it or against it? We'll talk about.
We've done it. I mean, I let our kids do it because we had a great DJ at our games, and he did a great job. This was high school.
Yeah.
But I'm irritated by it when I go to travel tournaments and people bring their own
Big boom box or big speakers.
I don't know where Silva sits on that, but
Maybe
it's just I don't know. It irritates me because for one,
Does it?
you've got fields that are sitting close together, and in the middle of your game, you're hearing music every 5 seconds of somebody else's game.
That's a good point.
And I don't like it in that way. I think when you get to high school, if kids want to do it, it's a lot of fun. It helps. It's one of the ways. Hey, listen, it's one of the differences in today's game and today's kids. You know, we say we've got to keep the game fun. I think that's one of the ways they have fun.
Yeah.
I didn't allow them to, you know.
That's good. Yeah.
When we're not practicing, it was fun. There was, the week before our first home game, there was one of the kids on the team. His dad was our DJ, and he sent around pieces of paper, and he said, write down your walk-up song and where you want to begin and all that, you know. And his dad would actually edit it and make sure that it was clean, but make sure that he had the part of the song that the kid wanted and everything. It was really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go to my kids. I'm grateful for my
You hit
kids.
your whole family,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I have not. And
Well,
you're making me feel terrible about that.
Yeah, I know.
I can say ditto, though.
You've
I'm
been
gonna
agreeing
take
with
all
me.
of your thankfulness as well and say I agree.
Well, I think you've probably already crossed this bridge. You've been coaching a little bit longer than me, and your kids have went through this process, so you're at a different point in your life right now where maybe a little bit different focus. But I'm still kind of coming out of this.
Well, it's fresh every day.
Yeah,
you just played
exactly.
a championship game with your youngest son last night.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
So you feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I think about with my kids is just the drive that they've given me to be everything that I am, a better coach, better person, better parent. I've said it before. I don't remember what I did when I didn't have kids. I feel like I just laid around on the couch all the time because now I feel like, it's everything we do, me and my wife Chastity, everything we do is about our kids. And, but you catch yourself at times thinking about the way that you expect your kids to respond in certain situations and against challenges, right? How they respond to challenges. And, as a parent and as a coach, you're constantly coaching them up to be able to handle those things.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get faced with a challenge as a person, as an individual. And you either respond the way that you expect them to respond or you don't, but you reflect on that.
And you're constantly modeling that response.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Right. And that you become more aware of that because your focus is so much on your kids,
Someone once asked me what had been the most significant thing about having children, about being a father. And I think the best answer that I could think of to give was, what I loved most about having children and raising children is what it requires of me, what it has required of me. And I know it sounds narcissistic. It sounds like I'm putting myself in the center of that. But I knew every day I had to be my best. Yeah. And there were days when I wasn't. And that always reflects on your kids. Yeah. And so you become your best as a father and as a mother because that's what you want to see in your children. And so by improving yourself, you're going to be, just by nature of passing that along, by the fact that you're always mentoring them, you're always fathering them, you're always mothering them, you're going to be passing that along to them, and they're going to be better for it as well.
Right.
And so you got to pour into yourself for that reason. And yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah. Let's see. We can at least get one more in after this.
Let's get.
All right, because I can make this pretty quick because I've already talked about it a little bit. I'm thankful for faith.
Yeah.
For the faith that has been instilled in me. I know that faith is, I happen to believe that faith did not originate with me. It was given to me, and I'm extremely thankful for that. I'm extremely thankful. The scripture tells me that that the righteousness we have from God is a gift from faith to faith, and I take that to understand that God is completely in charge of everything that I get to receive from Him. And that it's including my faith. Now, your faith is your own. My faith is my own, and so He's not believing for me, and He's not living that for me. I've got to choose to believe. But it's not lost on me that He is always the one reaching out and seeking after us. And I'm thankful that He sought after me. I'm thankful that He captured me, and I was able to see. My eyes were open, and I was able to see Him when He was seeking me. And so that faith has given me a relationship with Christ. It's given me a relationship with my church. It's given me a relationship with friends and coworkers that I would not necessarily know or have a close relationship with if it weren't for my faith in Christ. And it's changed my perspective. It's given me a different perspective on how I do things, such as go about my job, how I coach, how I parent, and I'm thankful for that because it's not perfect, but it's something that when it's strong, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. And so I'm thankful for faith.
I second that, and I'll follow it up with my next. thing that I'm grateful for in the Bible, in the Scripture. And I say, obviously, as a Christian,
It'd be impossible to have faith without that.
right?
Without the,
I mean,
the word
our
of God.
faith grows through the Word of God, right? So, as a Christian, it's
comes
obvious.
by hearing the word of God. That's what
Yes.
Romans says. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But when I wrote this down, I wasn't just thinking from a Christian perspective. I was thinking from just a person, a development perspective. Because what I've learned is that my understanding of the Bible has vastly grown over the last 5 to 10 years, and the main reason is because I learned how to study it.
Yeah.
I learned how to, and I'm not necessarily learned how, but dedicated and committed myself to studying it more with the help of my church and our elders and preacher that's there. They've kind of helped me do that. And what it's taught me is that there's this. We've talked about a maturation process of coaching and development, things like that, and I've went through this same thing with my understanding of the Bible. Of not, when you kind of start with the Bible, it's like it's just a bunch of stories that you don't really know how they tie together. But as you study them and learn, you begin to understand, and the picture becomes more clear, and your faith begins to grow, and you pick up some general concepts, and you also pick up some concepts that you hold on your own. And I correlate that very closely with the same way that I approach primarily baseball, but just any sport, learning the concepts, learning the techniques, learning the approaches. My study in the Bible has guided me in my study in sports. And I would say this to people out there listening: it doesn't matter what your faith is. I would encourage you, I'd challenge you, regardless of what your faith is, to read the Bible. Because if you do, I almost guarantee you're going to find something beneficial in that's going to help you be a better person or be a better whatever it is that you want to be. That's just the way
that's a good
it is.
word.
There's a lot of good content in there.
Yeah, we know that there are a lot of people who listen to our podcast. This is not we've not said this is not a blatantly Christian podcast.
Right.
I mean, there are probably a lot of people listening that don't have the same beliefs that you and I have.
Sure.
But this is our podcast, so we can share what our beliefs are. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, we're sharing, it's who we are.
Yeah, you can turn it off if you want, but it's still, everything that you've heard us say has come. This is the foundation where it's come from.
Yeah, and I would think we could have maybe someone will say they disagree with this, but I would say having a system of faith is very important for being the best athlete and coach and person you can be. Yeah. There's a lot of advantages that you gain from that. So
Absolutely. Well, I want to say one thing that I'm thankful for, and it's a very specific thing, and that is there is a very specific thing that happened in my life 21 years ago that completely rearranged me, changed my perspective on a lot of things, and that was a trip to Honduras.
Yeah.
In 1998, I took a trip to Honduras. I spent 2 weeks there. It was with a group of people from St. Louis Christian College, a couple friends of mine from church, and we were going in to work at a couple of different villages. One, we were going to kind of rebuild a library for them, and that was a fairly poor village. We spent the first week there, and we went to a different. They called them compounds. A different compound the second week, and I thought the first week, that one was poor. When we went to Ocotillo, which was just outside of San Pedro Sula, which is the city that we were in, my eyes were opened. We went in to bring medical supplies to this compound, and this compound was locked down. It had a big gate around it. It was not as safe. And so when I say compound, or not the compound, the mission inside the compound, the missionary where they had schooling and a medical clinic. We brought in medical supplies, and then we were also running electricity inside there so they could actually have church and vacation Bible school and things like that into the evening time if they needed to. And I was... you always hear about what life is like in the third world. And until you're there and you walk those streets and you smell the smells of constant burning trash and you see the sewer, literally sewage running in the street, you have to step over it as you're going to people's homes, and their homes are made of cardboard anything they can find to just build a structure, to piece together a structure, plywood, pieces of tarp. And we would go into these homes and we would bring Ziploc baggies of baby supplies to these people who had newborns. And their newborn, they would be sitting on the dirt floor. The newborn would be sitting like in a hammock or something, or would be laying in a hammock that they would build inside there to keep the newborn off the dirt floor. And if they did have anything to sit on, like a crate or something, when we walked in, they offered us that they wanted us to sit on the crate. They wanted us. So one of the first things that I noticed with every interaction we had from a Honduran was, one, I couldn't get over their smiles. I couldn't get over the fact that they were constantly smiling and enjoying life.
Yeah.
A life that had next to nothing.
Or maybe a lot more than.
That's where I'm getting.
Yeah.
They were so grateful. They were thankful for everything that we came to bring. I mean, they continued to say how grateful they were and how thankful they were for us. And I was blown away by that entire trip. I spent 2 weeks there in San Pedro Sula, and then we would go to these different villages in the evening, throughout the day and work, and then we'd go and do Vacation Bible School in the evening and things like that. And what I was blown away with was here I was, going to this place, assuming that I was going to go and serve them. And they served me so much. All they wanted to do was serve me.
Wow.
I went to this place assuming that I was going to be blessing them. We were coming to bring our blessing to them.
Yep.
And they blessed us more than we could even have imagined.
Yeah.
And we thought that we were going to give them something. And we just kept, we were coming to give to them out of our abundance. They had nothing, but they gave us so much more than what we could have ever asked for. Yeah. And it was one of the most, I remember, we made a lot of friendships and things while we were there. But on the flight back home, I was in tears not because of missing all the friendships that we made while we were there, but because I realized that I would never be the same again. I would never look at things. We've talked about Christmas and giving gifts and things like that. I would never look at anything like that the same again, because these were people that were so thankful for everything. I thought I understood what joy was, and I didn't have a clue what joy was. These were the most joy-filled people that I'd ever met in my life, and I was blown away by it. I was extremely convicted by it, and that's what created in me a desire to always want to make sure that I am thankful every single day, because I can't even explain it. I can't describe it.
Yeah.
And so if somebody, everybody, needs to, I think, take a trip like that. You need to, instead of taking a summer vacation, plan to go on a mission trip, go to a third world country and spend a little bit of time, and just, it literally changes your perspective. So that's my
good stuff.
last thankful.
I have know some people that good friends of ours that have went on some medical mission trips, and kind of the same thing. And they always want to go back.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people on the outside that don't pay attention very much, or that just hear about it, kind of think that they're going on vacation. They don't really recognize exactly what they're going over there to do. But it's kind of like this complex situation, because what you said there is true. They go back because they have a need and a feel that they just want to be there with those people, because it makes them better.
It gives you so much more than what, I mean, you go to give. I mean, make no mistake. We did a lot of hard work. We went to give, and we gave them a lot. But you couldn't outgive them. People say you can't outgive God, and that's exactly what happened. Awesome. Through that experience, God gave us so much more than we ever could have given them.
Yeah. So good stuff. Hey, we're going to close it up real quick. I do want to say that my fifth thing was that I'm grateful for is the Coaching Life podcast. I appreciate you, Coach, and I'm grateful for all of our listeners that out there. Thanks, man. It makes a big difference when you're talking about things, models and concepts and principles that you want your kids to adhere to, and that you think other people should adhere to. It makes a big difference when you go out and you're doing those things, talking about them, writing about them. I'd encourage people to do that. If you want to be better at something, write about it. Talk about it.
Absolutely.
Because it puts the onus on you. Yeah, it does.
Creates an accountability.
Definitely grateful for that. So for the opportunity and for everyone listening, allowing us to do it. Thanks, Coach.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.